I'm Terry Brock with TerryBrock.com, reporting for business journals. Security is more important than ever. We hear of incidents all the time where bad guys are breaking into computers and wreaking havoc, and this is in places where it should be very safe. Well, there's a challenge in that most of the attacks occur from someone remotely, not right there on site. And a company has now come up with a device that is affordable and easy to use and also does the job right on site. It's called YubiKeys from a company called Yubico. And I got a chance to find out about the devices they take. You just plug it into a USB port and it works very easily to make sure it's secure, but also you don't have one of these long passwords that's so difficult to remember that it makes getting the job done much more difficult. You're going to want to watch this video that I had as an interview with Stina Ahrensvard. She's the CEO of Yubico, and she talks about how you can use the two-step authentication to make sure you're secure, and it's much easier to still access your devices and get the work done. Today, password protection and security is more important than ever in computing, but there's a challenge. The challenge is if we make something really, really long so that it's tougher for the bad guys to break in, it's harder to remember. You make it really short, then you got a problem that it's easy for them to get in, easy for you to remember, but there's a solution. That solution is from a company called Yubico. There it is. It's a packet and some information that I got, and I got some of their tools you are going to love when you see it. Matter of fact, tell us about it. We have their CEO, Stina Ahrensvard, who is joining us right now. She's out in California, their office. Stina, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
You've got some exciting technology there with your company. I want to get some demonstration and all that, but before we get into that, kind of give us the big picture, the 35,000-foot point of view of what two-step authentication is, what Yubico is, and the YubiKey that you have. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, you started very well saying that good security until now has been very complicated. And when it's complicated, people don't use it. And if people don't use it, they're going to be hacked. So,
yeah.
And there's a similar metaphor with the seatbelt. The guy who invented the seatbelt, he realized the three-point seatbelt, that it has to be simple, has to work with one hand, it has to, people don't want to be uncomfortable even for a minute. So it works. I mean, the seatbelt, one click, and you are secure. And that was sort of the vision when we invented the YubiKey. How can you do something that is so simple, it just works with a hand, is simple touch, and then you get really good protection, not medium protection, not sort of half-baked, something that was military class. And we started the company in Sweden. This is a product. It's called a YubiKey. So we started selling this online with open source components. So any company could make support for it. And it works very simple. You plug it into a computer and you touch it. So when you touch it, it generates secure login credentials every time that is different every time. So the only thing you need to do is plug it in and touch it. We got some of the biggest and most influential internet companies as our customers, including Google and Facebook. They started using this internally. And that was the time when I moved to California. And we approached them and said, is there a way that we can integrate this kind of technology directly into their services so it could work with end users, with billions of people? Yeah. And let's make it an open standard. Let's make it something that the range of devices, not only YubiKeys, but eventually your phone and your computer and other hardware devices. So this is the problem. Software in general is not very secure. It's very easy to copy. But if you put the login credential or sort of the security on a hardware that is not connected to the internet, you are better protected against the bad guys.
Yeah, so what you're saying is when I have your device, in order to get into, for instance, Gmail, as an example, is one of your applications I notice you have, I would need to not only know my Gmail password, and you do need a good password on that, make sure it's strong, but I would also need something like this that is very easy. I simply just plug this little device, the YubiKey, into a USB port and then just touch it with my finger like that. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. And we got different form factors. So here is my laptop, and here, you see there's actually a different design that fits inside the USB port. And then I can...
Yeah, matter of fact, hold on, let me interrupt you there for a moment and point out here. This is what she's talking about. They sent me one of these. This tiny little thing, you see how big it is? I mean, look, it fits on my thumb like that. And you put this into the USB port like Stina has done there. And Stina, just doing that, what do we need to do then if we want to activate it?
So Google has made support for it, and they're made support under something called two-step verification. So if you go in under the settings in Google, in Gmail, and you look for two-step verification, and it's for security and two-step verification, you will find something now called security key, in addition to the previous Google Authenticator that was using a phone, when there was a phone app that you had to retype a code. So the previous Google Authenticator, it was good security because there was an app and you could take that, the one-time passcode that was generated in the app and move that to your computer or to your phone. But it was time-consuming, and if you lost your phone, you lost your credentials. So then they said, let's see if we can make it easier for users. Let's make something that is just a simple touch. You don't have to retype a code, and step up the security, because the Google Authenticator is good security, but it's not super good security. It's always much better. It's the same with SMS. You know, the SMS code that your bank will ask you to retype for some bank transactions, or even Facebook, and those are also good security, but they're not very good security. There has already been, fraudsters hacking those. So we're in a time where everyone who invents new security products, they have to be in line with the fraudster, because they are as smart as we, or even smarter.
Yeah, it seems like it's a leapfrog. You're constantly getting something that's very good technology. Then the bad guys will come up and leap over here, and then we come up this way. But I like what you've got there. This is very good. Now, some might think, oh, wait a minute, does this record my fingerprint on there? And it does not. Tell us a little bit about that.
No, it's just a touch sensor to generate this credential, but it also verifies that is you, that is not a robot or a Trojan who is coming remotely and trying to, take over your machine, which is actually a problem with some of the other authentication devices out there. That if you don't have some kind of way of verify that there's a human body, it can be taken over remotely. So it's not a biometrics yet. We are in the thinking of putting a biometrics, so that could add another layer of security. The challenge with biometrics today is that they don't always work. And you want something that always works. There is the technology around biometrics is still not 100% robust.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I think you raised a very good point when we were talking earlier, that you said most of the theft that comes on computers really is from another location. It's remotely versus someone right there at my computer doing it. This way, there has to be a real human being to do it, and someone can get it. Now, my question I would have, though, is suppose a bad guy did get my password. They got my password to Gmail, and they have one of these that they could put in right at my computer. They still could get in with their touch on with their finger, couldn't they?
Yes. And so we have companies who have combined the YubiKey with a simple password. So this is another really good thing. We started saying long passwords are difficult to remember. With YubiKey, you only need a simple password because the security is no longer in the password. But you can also add geolocation. There is, in both computers and phones, actually now know where you should be, or the biometrics that you have on a phone or computer, because biometrics are now being integrated into devices. So we have companies who start by logging in with some kind of other biometrics device, and then they combine with the YubiKey. So in the future, you will see YubiKeys combined with other things, depending on the level of security. We got customers who only have the YubiKey, no password. We got customers who have YubiKey, password, biometrics, and other things. It's going to be a range of methods, and the service providers and the users will have to choose what security level will be required. But our attempt is that it has to be really simple, and it has to be open, It has to be scalable. So we want this to be everywhere. That's why we developed this new open standard. It's called FIDO U2F, Universal Second Factor. We started developing it with Google, and eventually we got other companies on board, and it's now in an organization with 200 members, including Visa, MasterCard, Microsoft. They're building in these technologies into browsers, into platforms, and then it just works out of the box. Users don't have to install anything. Before it's everywhere, you can use a YubiKey with a password manager if you're a consumer. If you're an enterprise, you can use a YubiKey with, we provide the open source backend and that you can integrate into your own enterprise servers. So depending if you're an enterprise or a consumer, you know, there are already today different ways you can use it. And I also want to show something that I think personally I'm completely optimistic about the future of NFC, even if unfortunately Apple haven't opened up their interface yet. But for a phone,
I like this, what you're showing here.
Yeah, so this key has NFC, and when I want to log into a phone, I just tap it to the back of the phone, and I'm logged in. And
that is nice.
And
it
so,
automatically does it just by sensing what you've got built into the YubiKey.
Yeah.
So the phone, my iPhone, so it would recognize, hey, we've got this YubiKey. It does it, and this works on, as I understand, on the iOS and on Android. Is that correct?
So all non-iOS phones, I would not say all, but all the big vendors, except for Apple, have NFC on their phones. Apple have NFC, but they haven't opened it up for external parties like Yubico. It's a closed system with Apple Pay to start with, and some security applications. And so we're optimistic about the future, and the reason why I believe that Apple eventually will open it up is because I believe in the next generation credit cards and payments, and especially credit cards, that, you know, today you have to retap. It's the same problem, 16 digits and all these stupid things from a credit card. In the future, you'll take a card and you'll literally tap it directly to your phone to make a payment.
Yeah, which will make it a lot easier.
So
and
that's actually
like we're still secure.
Yeah, so that's actually a future application for the YubiKey. We could put a payment on the YubiKey itself. So the YubiKey today, we started with a one-time password device, and then we added more and more functionalities and features to, you know, there's way you can use it for encryption, you can use it for logging into password managers, and this new standard is called FIDO U2F, and also you can use it for logging into computers, to Microsoft, Linux, and Mac computers. It's using another open standard called PIV, so it works out of the box for logging into computers too. So there's all kind of sort of different use cases. And I believe that in the future, when these open standards are everywhere, you don't even have to think about downloading anything. It will just works out of the box.
Yeah, this is very nice. And the fact that it's open standard opens up a lot of doors for that. And then as far as the pricing, tell us about the pricing on both the key and the nano, the tiny, I love this one right here, the little tiny one as well.
Yeah, so the most, I didn't show any of that. I can't find it right now, but the lowest cost YubiKey that we have, we call it a FIDO U2F security key. That's the one that only works with the open standard. That's an $18 device. You can buy it on Amazon. It's a one-time cost. The beauty is that we don't track you. We don't sit on any of secrets. Once we sell this to you, we don't know what you're going to do with it. So there is a privacy aspect built into it. And then we got the Yubikey Neo, that has the NFC. That's a $50 device. It has the NFC. It has more other protocols built into it, including OpenPGP for encryption, PIV for Windows login, and, you know, you will find on our website all the things you can do it. So we charge differently depending on the features. And then the small form factor is also a $50 device. And it also has all the features. So we just sort of say, if you don't only want one thing, it's cheaper. And if you want more, you will pay a little more, but it's still affordable because it's a one-time device and it don't break. We started selling this product 8 years ago, and I still have my keys that I put on my keychain 8 years ago. So
yeah, I like the fact that we can put it easily on the keychain. Notice that hole that's in there. We take this little key, very simple. You just put that in there and you got that with you. And think about the advantage from a business productivity point of view. Think about how much time is lost hunting down passwords. Oh, I forgot my password. I got to send it in. Then I've got to wait for them to send me the reset. Then I got to click on it and can do that. Add up all of that. And that time is money. and you want something that's going to be very authentic, that will work. That two-factor authentication gives you, as someone who's managing computers for others or for yourself, a layer of security and ease of use. It's like you take the two areas that you think, well, they don't work together. Aha! Because of YubiKey, now they work together very beautifully. Stina, you've done a marvelous job. Your people have put together some technology that's very helpful, and I know you're moving even farther with, like you mentioned, the biometrics you're looking at and other types of things. Someone says, okay, I want to get some more information about this. I want to find out about it. Real slowly, tell us the website and other information where they can get in touch with you and find out more.
So our website is yubico.com, and it spells YUBICO.com. So that's where you'll find more information. You can also find the product on Amazon.com.
Very good. So we can go over there, take a look at it. For those of you watching this, I encourage you to look into this. It's a simple way. It's practical bottom line business. You invest a few coins to get this very reasonably priced, and you get something then that works for you, works for your people. It adds a level of security, very important today, particularly when you hear about all these stories of people that are attacking computers. Most of the time, they're done remotely. It's not someone coming into the office, with masks on and flashlights like in the old days and taking the computer. Oh, no. They're doing it from some other place, some other location. And this way, you've got the security and you've got the ease of use built in. Both of them with this key, and I highly recommend looking into that. Stina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
And for those of you watching, I'm Terry Brock. Thank you, and we'll look forward to hearing from you. I'm with TerryBrock.com, reporting for Business Journals.